Africa, not just in Kenya. They're talking about they scored better than people all over the world, babies all over the world.
I.Cee.Y is cold. We're here breaking the ice. I.Cee.Y is cold. Do you see why?
We start with this guy. His name is Louis Leakey. I was told he was an archaeologist, right? So there are a few things that I was never told about this guy. So yeah, he wrote these two books, Defeating the Mau Mau and Mau Mau and the Kikuyu. So there's this brother right here. He's gonna say some interesting things, and it will give you an understanding of why Louis Leakey had to write such books.
Officially, we are told that about 70,000 Kikuyu civilians were put into brutal detention camps, yeah, just on suspicion of providing material support to the Mau Mau. Just suspicion, okay? Yeah. Now, there are some researchers who I tend to believe who say actually the true number of Kikuyus who were held or detained during that Mau Mau period was closer to 1 million. Actually, the bottom line is that the colonial government saw the Kikuyus as a threat to them. Yeah, a serious threat to them.
Okay, remember that brother, he said these Kikuyu were a serious threat to the British administration, right? And then in the Cartoon Network, you see this cartoon called The Mau Mau, all right? And it's written Heroes of a Pure Heart. Anyway, let's get to the next point. Yeah, I was doing my research, and so I searched for the Mau Mau Rebellion. So according to the Wikipedia, you can see in the far right, at the bottom right, you can see the result, right? The result says British victory, yeah, against the rebellion. So I was like, what is that? Is that a fact?
It was a decade of remarkable hecatomb and suffering, but this sacrifice was not in vain. The Mau Mau War, which provoked copycat liberation wars throughout the colonized world, ensured that at the end of the decade, the British Empire was forced to relinquish power and grant independence to not just Kenya, but to many other colonies.
The Wikipedia says British victory. This guy, he's called Mugo Akibiru, right? So he made some prophecies which, according to most people, they say most of his prophecies they fulfilled, and I don't know about that, but there's this one prophecy that is crazy. So the colonial masters reinforced the Mugumo tree's base, but it fell, signifying the end of British rule. I'll ask the questions after the video plays.
And it's, in fact, in the Gikuyu culture itself. Yes. So you went to check a Mugumo tree that did fell back in the 50s.
Yes, there's a tree that was...
This tree was here before the colonial government set in. And we had a prophet in Kikuyu called Chege Wakibiru. Chege had prophesied that when this Mugumo tree will fall, that is when the colonial government will leave Kenya. So the colonial government had already seen that most of the prophecies Mugu had made had come true. So they feared that if this Mugumo tree fell, they would be sent out of the country. So they built a very strong metal casing for the tree, and in fact even added soil and made it stronger. But all the same, Mugo's prophecy came to be true. The tree fell, and when the tree fell, after independence, the first president of the Republic of Kenya, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, came back here because he already knew this place and he used to come here for wherever he visited Thika. He came and planted another tree right and tidy.
The size of this ring gives a pretty good indication as to how huge that mugumo tree was, and meaning that it showed how dominant and how significant the influence was by the colonial masters. But now, over 56 years later, it's interesting that we have another one sprouting right out of the very same place. Could this upcoming mugumo tree indicate another colonial master? Well, the elders here tell us that that is for the national leadership of elders of the Kikuyu people to come.
Why would the Britons go to such an extent of sealing the tree?
The mugumo tree is seen as sacred in the GIKUYU community and is believed to be the special place where ancestors would hold conversations with God.
It says the mysterious tree that refused to fall. When this video is taken, they've been trying to pull the tree down for 2 days. Anyway, let's get to the video.
Walifika hapa kushuhudia kisa kisicho cha kawaida, yaani mti umekatwa kwa siku 2 mtawalia, lakini bado umekataa kusalimu amri. Wenyeji wanasema kuwa mti huu ulioko katika shule ya msingi ya Kimilili lazima una mazinga ombwe fulani. Mwanzo ulipiti umekataa kusalimu amri.
Miti imekatika, imekwisha na miti haianguki.
So tunashangaa hata mwenye aliuza hii miti ametoroka, hayuko.
Ya wakataji kutumia ujanja wote, ikiwa ni pamoja na kuvuruta kwa kutumia trakta, matokeo yamekuwa ya kuvunja moyo. Maajabu ya Kimilili. Franklin Masharia, K24.
It's pretty amusing. Check this. It says villagers marvel at mugumo tree that alleged fell just to rise again. It fell and then resurrected. I mean, we ain't talking about Jesus Christ right here. We're talking about a tree.
Residents of Yamumbi and Lemok villages within Uasin Gishu County are now appealing to elders from the Kikuyu and Kalenjin communities to offer an explanation on a mugumo tree that fell a month ago and has reportedly risen again with its roots firmly back in the soil.
One by one, they thronged the site of what some now refer to as a miracle tree.
Nimeacha shughuli nimekuja kuona by this jana kutoka hiyo. My first time kuona.
Hii niliona. Mimi nikaishtuka, ilikuwa mashangao sana. Ilikuwa inaamka polepole hivi. Alafu karibu ifike katikati. Ikainuka na nguvu na force.
His mother, Susan Lele, initially dismissed the claims but now has a different view.
Kweli huu mtu ulikuwa umeanguka, hii mizizi ilikuwa imeinuka hivi. Sasa mtu wenyewe ulikuwa umeanguka mpaka huku kwa shamba.
The news just falling short of declaring the place a holy shrine.
Nimeenda hapo chini nikapata maji inachipuka ndani. Wakati nimekunywa hiyo maji, nasikia nimepona, kifua ilikuwa na shida.
In African traditional society, a mugumo tree was considered sacred. As such, residents here tell me that is the sole reason they kept tabs with this particular tree and they were able to file these particular events. So is it real or not? But in the eyes of the residents here, they say the reports they have made on this day are actually real time. Lois Wangoi, NTV, Yamom.
So there's something about this tree. So, there's been this news.
Basically says that Kenya is evolving into a 5th dimensional state aided by cosmic energies. And so many of you asked me to comment about like the UN moving here and things like that. Yo, they're going to be absorbed.
In the shadows where the cold winds blow, I see the struggle in every soul below. Mind trapped in ice, but the heart's on fire. Breaking the silence, we rise higher. Thoughts frozen, but my spirit won't die. Living in the moment, yeah, it's do or die. Life's a maze, but we never get the storm. I see the path, now watch the way we transform. I see why.
So here's another brother. He says, I.Cee.Y community in Kenya is the chosen tribe of God. right? That actually is interesting. Anyway, this is a research well done. You actually like the video, by the way.
It's very important that we all know the Kikuyu tribe of Mount Kenya are truly the chosen people of the Most High. And I say that as an African American man putting no ego in this information. So how do we know? How do I know that the Kikuyu tribe are truly the chosen people of the Most High? Well, I know that for a few different reasons. The first reason being in 1986, we had the Hopi elders all the way over here in the Americas reveal that the Kikuyu tribe were a part of the ancient guardianship of the four races of humanity. Way back in the day, they said very sacred tablets were given to the four races, and the most powerful set of tablets were given to the black race in the custodianship of the Kikuyu tribe who currently reside in Mount Kenya. And of course, we know they migrated down there to Mount Kenya from other regions, which we'll get into that in another video. But that's one reason. So Dr. Lee Brown is the one who was authorized by the Hopi elders to speak on these prophecies in English for the first time in 1986. Before then, this information, this wisdom was not authorized to be spoken about in the English language. So
they say the Kikuyu tribe protect the most powerful ancient tablets.
And so a long time passed, and the Great Spirit gave each of the four races 2 stone tablets. Ours are kept at the Hopi Reservation in Arizona, at Four Corners area on 3rd Mesa. I've talked to people from the black race of people. Their stone tablets are at the foot of Mount Kenya. They are kept by the Kikuyu tribe. They are kept by the Kikuyu tribe. They are kept by the Kikuyu tribe.
Let's get to the next point.
They call it the Ark of the Covenant and all of these other names. The Kikuyu elders call these tablets Managi. Location during these last days, the Kikuyu tribe are located there on one of the most high points of Africa, which is what we call Mount Zion, or Mount Kenya, actually. You know, but this is the biblical Mount Zion, and we actually have the maps, the ancient maps, even from the 1700s, the late 1600s, that even give you the name Sion, where the word Zion comes from. Sion, the river, Tana River, was at one point called Sio or Sion, you know, leading right there to Mount Zion, you know, the people of Mount Zion, where the sacred tablets are kept. So that's that. Now, if that's not good enough.
So you were interested in purchasing this book? Yes, sir. Oh, that's funny you should say that, because we're studying this book. This book is Jomo Kenyatta, and he talks about the Kikuyu. But a lot of people do not know that Amos Wilson talks about the Kikuyu on page 40 of this book. And so the study that they have done is on the children of the Kikuyu in this little small place in Kenya, and that these children was not part of a form of education, and that what they found out that the intelligence of these children was far superior than any other child in the West. And so that study was done by Princeton University, and they talked about it on page 40. So I think you will enjoy.
Was a brother from Mississippi who was a theoretical psychologist, I think it's called. And he went to Fordham University and Morehouse. And he wrote a book called Awakening the Genius, or Awakening the Natural Genius in the Black Child. That comes from a study for those people who only appreciate, you know, the white people's information, like modern scientific information. I'm going to read y'all from a little, the results of a study that was done on the brain development in babies. And here it goes for yourself. I'll just read it. All right, family, this is a quick read from page 36 of Awakening the Natural Genius in Black Children. This is talking about a study done by Lederman and Associates in 1973, talking about the brain development in babies. So check this out. Page 36. On both the mental and motor tests, the Kikuyu infants were precocious, scoring significantly higher than would be expected for American infants of the same ages. As compared with the standard score of 100 that American infants average on these tests, the average Kikuyu mental score was 108, and their average motor score was 129. The Kikuyu infants bettered the standard score on 38 mental scale items and on 20 motor test items. They were lower than the standard on only 7 of the mental test items and 2 of the motor test items. However, the researchers were under the impression that these items involved implements that are familiar to American infants but not familiar to Kikuyu infants. All right. When Kikuyu infant test scores month by month were compared with month by month scores for white infants in the United States and United Kingdom and black infants in the United States, the Kikuyu infants performed better on both mental and motor tests throughout the 15-month period of observation than did any other of these other groups. Did any of these other groups? They're talking about continents, people, not just in Africa, not just in Kenya. They're talking about they scored better than people all over the world, babies all over the world. So don't feel no way. You know, you other tribes in Kenya, all of us got outscored by the Kikuyu. Okay, so once again, I'm just showing you all that this is not just a superficial observation. This is a spirit. It's a reason that the Kikuyu, that God and the ancestors had it for the Kikuyu to score higher than all of these other babies across the entire world. Okay, so let us not be egotistical.
Once again, that's a scientific study. So anyway, I gotta go. This is the coolest show. Why? It's that I.Cee.Y show.